Are you looking for some additional study material to help you in your flight school? Maybe even just brush up on some things you might have forgotten about and you're already certified? Well, stick around. I've got some suggestions here that might help you out. Hey, Steve here with Flight Heading. I'm currently in ground school for private private pilot certification, and I've always been looking for some more study material. And I think I found a few books here that have helped me out, and maybe they might help you out too if you're a student pilot. And also, even if you already have your certification, they might help you to refer back to these books to kind of brush up on some things you might have forgotten since you went through training. Well, let's go ahead and I've got 7 different suggestions here, 7 different books, but I'm going to focus on one of them today. It's a manual. Let's say the flight manual, maneuvers manual. But let's take a look at these other books that I'm recommending at this point. The first book that I would highly recommend is The Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge right here. Now this book has got just basically everything you need to know about flying, basically your visual flying. It's got weather, it's got landings, maneuvers. It's a general, all-around good handbook to have, and there are a lot of flight instructors who do recommend reading this book. Now, the next one that I would recommend is the Airplane Flying Handbook. Again, just another basic general knowledge book. Got good information, a lot of information that you can brush up on, and some things that you might not have remembered since flight school or you haven't gone through yet in your flight training. Now, another one that I highly recommend, and this will be gone into heavily because regardless of your flight certification that you're going for, this will be a topic covered, and it's the Aircraft Weight and Balance Handbook. Now, of course, if you're not familiar with weight and balances, it talks about the center of gravity, whether it's forward, aft, whether your plane is within the weight limit for takeoff and landing. A very important book to really be familiar with the skills and techniques of making sure that your weights and balances on your aircraft are in the envelope, that is, so to speak, so that you will have a safe and uneventful flight. Now, another book that I definitely recommend is the Aeronautical Chart User's Guide, and this was just a general reference on how to read aeronautical charts, and it basically gives you some tips on what different symbols means, what little codes mean. Another good read right there. Now, another one that I do recommend is the Aviation Weather Book, the Aviation Handbook here. It just covers more in depth of weather patterns and how to avoid certain clouds and all different types of things that would make your flight not come to a good conclusion if you didn't stay away from them. Another good read right there. Now, the book that I'm going to be, one other thing I want to throw in here before I forget, and this wouldn't be in your private or sports type certification, but something you may want to read and get some basic knowledge on is the Instrument Flying Handbook. Again, another good knowledge-based book, and it focuses on instrument flying as well. Now, going back to the book that I'm going to be looking at specifically here, there's a set of manuals that ASA puts out, and this one is the High Wing Aircraft Visualized Flight Manual. I'll get that out. It's a mouthful right there. Let's go ahead and go to the ASA site and take a look at the manuals they do have, and from there we'll just go back into this book and I'll show you some of the stuff it covers. Okay, here we are on the ASA website, and here's some of the manuals they have here. The one that we'll be looking more closely at is the High Wing Visual Flight Maneuvers Manual right here. But as you can see, they have other manuals in here, like for the low wing. Again, the high wing, we have pattern visualizers, low wing aircraft visualized flight maneuvers. Just to name a few, we have 21st Century Flight Training, and that's an e-book. We even have manuals for helicopters, aeronautical, that is, charts. These just some of these, some of the manuals that you can find in the ASA site. Now, you can get them on also other sites. You can search Amazon and other flight or aviation-based websites as well. I don't want to mention them all because I'm not sure if they all carry them or not. But if you do a search for whatever manual or flight manuals, you can find various locations where you can purchase that. And they're all about the same price, around $25 a piece. Really not too bad as far as costs go. I'll just shop around, and I'm sure you can get a best deal on whatever manual you want to go ahead and purchase. So let's go ahead and look at the High Wing Aircraft Visualized Flight Manual. Let's try this again. The High Wing Aircraft Visualized Flight Maneuvers Manual. Let's go ahead and look at that now. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the High Winged Aircraft Visualized Flight Maneuvers Manual here, the one I just pointed out on the ASA site along with the other manuals. Now this manual here is really just full of information for pilots, student pilots of all levels, and it can go from private to sport, commercial, even up to the certified flight instructor, as I can show you in a minute here. Full of information, well worth the money of $25 at least at the time of this video. But I'm not going to go through every single section, but just give you an idea. It's got aircraft review. You can put in the type of aircraft you got. You can put in the information like the normal climb out speed, stall speed, normal landing under V, whatever, VX or VY pitch. It goes on. Pre-flight operations. It's got some stuff on pre-flight operations. Of course, these are fold outs. You can fold things out, take a look at them for pre-flight operations. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole manual page by page. By any means, I'd never get through this video. But it also goes in starting the airplane, taxiing, just basic stuff. Then it goes into a little more detailed stuff. Let's say takeoff and climb, crosswind takeoff and climb. Again, if you open it up, it's got information and diagrams and also steps like in it gives you an objective also. It says objective, like in the crosswind, is a takeoff and climb out to the downwind leg of the traffic pattern with a crosswind component. It gives you the task, what you need to know step by step, and plus a diagram with each step, starting at step 1, going all the way, in this case, to step 9. So again, just full of helpful information here. Goes on even more. And here's what I'm talking about. Let's say straight and level flight. Take this for instance. This information is beneficial for the private, sport, commercial, and CFI student. There are some here that are targeted only for like Easy 8 pylons, or Easy 8, 8-on pylons. This is based for commercial and CFI students. I mean, it doesn't mean that if you're a private pilot or whatever, you could benefit by learning this information as well. And again, it gives you the diagram, your objectives here, the tasks, and some other useful information here. Crosswind controls, accelerated stalls, steep spirals, lazy eights. Lazy eights is for commercial and CFIs. Again, it shows you how to do lazy eights. And, you know, if you're going to go beyond sport and private pilot and boost your certification levels, it wouldn't hurt to learn this stuff in advance just to be familiar with it. I guess that just goes without saying there. Go around procedures, steep turns, traffic patterns, which is very important. This is for private, sport, commercial, and CFIs. And it shows you, it gives you the objectives, thank you, tasks, and steps 1 through, I think there's 8 in here, but it'll give you all the basic terminology and where you should be, like in your downwind, your base, your final, or if you're taking off, you have your upwind and crosswind. So the diagrams are very, very useful. And also what you can do is you could actually practice some of these maneuvers and everything in a flight simulator. It wouldn't, of course, be like being in a real aircraft, but it'll give you some basic muscle memory on what to do, what to expect, what you need to know. Normal landing and approach, which you should be learning anyway. This goes for private, sport, commercial, and CFI. It just tells you general information. It's a good book just to read if you're somewhere and just want to brush up on yourself. You don't actually have to be in an airplane to work with this or on a flight simulator, but it's just good reading material just to keep your mind sharp on a lot of the stuff that you will be covering while in flight. Again, this one is the High-Winged Aircraft Visual Flight Maneuvers Manual. They have it for low wing as well. And as I showed you in the screenshot from their website, they have it for helicopters and other training there. So ASA has got a good reputation for training material. So I definitely would recommend checking their site out. Well, I hope the materials I've suggested here will help you in your studies for your flight certification, or if you're already certified, to help you brush up on some things you might have forgotten since your certification. In any case, ASA puts out some really fantastic training materials. They are kept up to date, and a lot of instructors do recommend these manuals as well to do some self-study as long to complement what they are instructing you. Again, this is Steve with Flight Heading. Until next time, fly safe.